see.
Yup.
Oh gosh.
Oh, we're live, everybody. Welcome. Michael was just explaining how his eyes are present but not. He has a filter that will help
I
him
fixed
look
it.
at
It's
the
gone.
camera.
It's gone.
I want it because I know I'm playing around with technology over here, and I've got my screen to the left of me here. So if I hit this button, I don't think I got the scenes right. Oh, we're live and alive. Oh yeah, we did. Look at that. See? So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Tales of the Empire. See, now I can do that sort of Twitch streamer thing where I got the cursor on there. Yeah, everything's great. We're having fun here. Welcome to the show. We got 3 things to talk about today. 4 things, because number 1, I broke a pen. That's why my finger's green. Okay, we get it. We know what's going on. All right, I'm 8 years old. I was playing with finger paints. Let's just move on. Okay. Thing number 2, we're talking about the Tales of the Empire surprise trailer that we got. That was very exciting. I can't wait to break it down with you guys. There's a lot in there, a lot of meat on that bone. So very excited to dive into that. And then the other thing is Bad Batch. We have 3 episodes of Bad Batch to talk about. We've been running behind. I say we've been running behind, but really, we just really wanted Andy here to talk about it because it involved Ventress and adorable children, all of which you need Andy here for, So yeah, that's the vibes you bring, Andy, and I think that's a good thing.
I dig it.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. We've got Andy. We've got Michael. How the heck is everybody? I'll start with you, Andy. How the heck are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm living the life.
Damn, you're living the life. Michael, how are you? Are you living the dream?
I'm muted.
I think you're
living the dream.
Look at us. All right, we're doing great. All right, let's dive into the trailer first, because that's the new thing, and probably there's not as much to dive into there because it's all speculative. Andy, yes, ma'am.
Freeze. How are you doing?
Frozen.
How are you?
Hey, I appreciate that. I'm doing well. Life is good. We're hanging in. We're having fun. We're breaking eggs. We're making omelets. Life is good. Life is good. Thanks for checking in. I appreciate that. And listen, because I am the face of professionalism incarnate, I will say life is even better because I can segue back into talking about the Tales of the Empire trailer, which was just so unexpected, and I was very pleased. We've been speculating, oh my gosh, Tales of the Jedi Season 2, who are we going to get? Is it going to be like Ventress? Are we going to get more stories about Ahsoka, who we all love, but it's like, how many more moments do we need? I'm sure they could cook up something, but what are they going to do there? And sure as shoot, what do? They go in a completely different direction and surprise us with Tales of the Empire. We got a lot in there. Looks like we're going to focus on 2 main people. Morgan Elsbeth. Wow, name just blanked out there for a second. Morgan Elsbeth. And so we're going to get to Dathomir connections. We'll talk about that. Somebody's favorite Grand Admiral showed up even before. He wasn't as grand as we're used to seeing him, but he was still an admiral. And then the second character, we're going to finally put to bed the question of what the hell happened to Barriss Offee, What the hell happened to Andy Mason? More importantly.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We lost you there for a second, but we're glad to have you back.
I'm here?
You're here. You're live and alive. It's a great day.
Right. That was scary.
You're back with us. I hope you had a fun 7 years in Narnia. All right. Let's get into it. There's a lot there. We can finally talk about Barriss Offee. Michael, I'm going to start with you. Give me your top level thoughts about this trailer. What stuck out to you, my friend?
Like I said, it was unexpected. It's cool. I'm always excited to see more Thrawn. Hopefully, more Thrawn book connections. Probably ain't going to answer a lot of questions about Morgan Elsbeth from the trailer. Things that stuck out about her were that she's kind of OP. Cool. Like, I think. Oh, bye, Ed. Bye.
Just because you said Thrawn, I had to,
Oh.
had to acknowledge your handiwork there for a second.
Right.
Okay,
I just thought your camera was wandering off there. Like the rails of the show. Anyway, but yeah, we see her going toe to toe with Grievous, which, like, in hindsight makes sense since she kind of went toe to toe with Ahsoka, who can also go toe to toe with Grievous. Does he have
There's a lot of
toes to go?
parody in the
Over
Star
to?
Wars galaxy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Everyone is at the same level of effectiveness except for Anakin sometimes.
Yeah, that do be the case. I mean, also like not Tarful. What was his name? The Gungan went toe to toe with Grievous, so maybe I
Tarpals,
don't
yeah.
know. Tarpals, right? I don't
Yeah,
know,
he was
but that just means
in Big Doo that time.
The Gungans are the Fremen of Star Wars,
Yeah!
not the Sand People, not the Sand People, as would make sense. It's the underestimated Gungans. Um,
Indeed.
anyway, and then with Barris is cool. That is a question we didn't really know that we had. I think that what did happen to her? I don't know.
Oh, everybody's been
She went to
banging on about
jail.
that. Yeah.
She went to jail. I assumed she became an inquisitor. It's kind of how it was. So I wasn't like chomping at the bit to figure it out, but I'm
But
plenty excited to see it happen.
So that's a good segue. I want to get what Andy thinks before I pop off. Not that I have like crazy takes about this or anything, but Andy, what do you think about this trailer before I pop off?
It's gonna be so crazy. I cannot.
Oh my
wait.
God, are you ready? You guys ready?
I'm buckling in right now.
Yeah, strap in, lock in, get ready. Oh, get the popcorn, heat up the tea. All right, go ahead.
No, I wasn't like you guys. I wasn't expecting it, and I was surprised. I was just like, "Wow, that was really cool." I can't believe you would say that, Michael. That we don't have theories about Barris. That we don't have questions. I mean, were you here during the Marok debate? Is this Barris Offie?
I guess. Although now confirmed, not Barris, because they're both in the same seat at the same time. So it couldn't possibly be them.
Every single time we've seen a new Inquisitor, everybody has a vaguely female Inquisitor. Every time people have always been like, "Is it Barris? Confirmed?" Especially when they screwed us around with the Rebels, where they had an actual Mary Allen. I think it was the seventh sister. I'm second
Sarah
sister.
Michelle.
Jeepers.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's right. That's your girl. But yeah, so that was one where it seemed almost intentional at that point. But I'm excited to finally get this story because it's been a while. It's been a while, and people have been asking. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm very excited to see the connections with Dathomir. I'd be interested to see if it ties into the books, like you said, Michael, and if it ties into Ahsoka. Maybe we'll get some Peridia connection. Probably not. I'm assuming not. Did either of you guys read the Clone Wars anthology book with all the little short stories? There was a book collection of short stories that were mostly like retellings of Clone Wars episodes. So largely speaking, it was just like okay, but there were a couple original ones, or at least one. And one of these stories was about a Night Sister named Bug, and I thought it was interesting. It was a really cool story, but come to find out, the lady who wrote that story happens to be Dave Filoni's wife, and so one wonders if that story will relate, because it could very well be that individual is Morgan Elsbeth because of the timeline and the way the story is told. It'll be interesting to see. It could be a red herring, could be a total other thing, but basically that character is dealing with the loss of all of her sisters and all the fellow witches and everything, and so it'll be very very interesting to see.
The ones that survived, but most.
Yeah, like 3
We're gonna make
so far.
The Jedi, the Jedi surviving Order 66 joke. Like, but
there
was like 0.01%.
Well, are we?
And
are we going to see Morgan Elsbeth draw, like, her story draw closer to Night Sisters and Dathomiri culture? Because my understanding when she was first introduced is that she was some sort of like distant offspring, like after a generation or two. I didn't see it being very closely connected, but maybe she was more connected than she let on. She was keeping that close to the chest. I don't know, but
I
very
imagine this is
interesting.
going to follow the formula of the last one, where it looks like we're going to get 3 episodes for each one, or at least if I'm making an educated guess. So it would be likely her as a young one with Grievous and all that stuff, and then her meeting Thrawn and sort of establishing that connection, and then her on Corvus with the New Republic. It looks like leading into the Mandalorian. So, it'll be very interesting to see how that all relates and how it plays out. I'm very, very intrigued. But
Yeah, and Morgan
I cut
Elsbeth
you
is a
off, Michael.
character, and
Oh,
I cut
Andy,
you
sorry.
off. Cut, cut.
Ah,
Morgan Elsbeth for me is a character that I didn't care that much about at first, or even
same.
because watching Mando, Mando is my hero, and you're getting in the way, and I don't like you. But as I've seen her more, especially with Ahsoka, I come to like her character a lot more, and I just know that this is gonna lock it in. I can feel it. I can sense an obsession coming on.
That's awesome. I love that for you. We all need
Yeah.
a problematic fave, We were talking, this will come back up later, how I enjoy Cad Bane, even though he's just like a
Yeah.
scumbag. And then Michael was like, "Yeah, I never liked Cad Bane." I was like, "You're a pretty big Republic Commando fan, And I was like, "We're all." But you have skated by because your problematic fave could be Ventress, but she's she's all right. She came back around.
She's
What,
done
All
killing
right.
murder?
mostly.
She's redeemed.
She's the
She's
best
also
guy
undead,
around.
That's fine.
Okay.
Oh God.
She's doing her best, okay?
Yes. We support women's rights and women's
And
wrongs.
their
Okay.
rights. Absolutely.
It's a zoo over here on program. We're having fun.
And we
Michael,
have
you
2
got any
viewers.
thoughts about any? Oh, what's up, guys? Welcome
Howdy.
to the show.
And howdy.
I mean, we had 3 until whatever you just said, guys. I don't know.
Oh well,
Lolo.
There's Lolo in the chat. What murder? Oh, all right. So, Michael, what are you thinking as far as everything that's just happened here? You have any other thoughts about Morgan Elsbeth before we move to Barriss Offee?
It's interesting. I think I had for a while considered her sort of a throwaway character that they've just latched onto and added more depth to, but I don't think that we clocked her standing up and fighting with Ahsoka when it happened. I think at least I probably would have looked at that and been like, that's not as impressive fighting on Ahsoka's side, but what we should have been is like, oh my gosh, this lady can fight. she's like standing up to Ahsoka. Granted, Ahsoka's trying not to hurt her, and there's plenty of things to consider there, but this lady's not nothing. I think there's going to be a lot revealed about. She seems to now have force powers that weren't really evident before she got the whole green glowy thing that happened towards the end of Ahsoka. The weird Night Sister sickles that are lightsaber proof. It's gonna be interesting conversation. I don't know, just a lot going on. The fact that she's still apparently to the end unaware that that Palpatine was the one who killed all her people, and she's still serving him. Ouch. Very much a puppet tool person character as this is going. So it's gonna be very interesting to see Tales of the Empire in that way. And I think we're gonna see similar story elements in the one with Barriss as well, because all of those people are being used by the Emperor and are sort of products of his own twisting of the Jedi and of their teachings. And so Barriss was only really frustrated with the Jedi to a certain degree because of Palpatine, and now Palpatine's like, well, come to my side now. He kind of made her
so
on all
it's
ends,
so beautifully tragically evil. I mean, I love it. I love hating it. It's the same. Stop looking at my hand, man. Just leave it alone. It's green. My hand is green. No, it's so funny. Even in the Inquisitor book that we read for book club, there was that character there that played on Hizo, I think it was, that played on Iskat's troubles with the Jedi and then led her to a darker place. And it's just so sad. Someone in the chat says, where is Ed? I can hear him, but I can't see him. Can everyone see me? I hope you can see me. I can see me. All right. Well, we hope you out there at home can see me as well. It's probably
It's
because
a camel
you could
ship.
probably just see my head, That's probably what it is, just floating around. But,
That's funny.
it is what it
Think about
is.
us.
It's a green screen. I just wear it. I'm embarrassed how long it took me to get that joke. GD it. Way to go, Mixalide. You win the day. 10
Yeah.
cookies to you, sir. 10 cookies. All right. We're
What were
back.
you
We're locked
saying?
in. I can't remember. I can't remember at all. I was going to move on to Barris
Oh,
whenever we were done, but what's
yeah.
up? What was I saying?
He's and just the predators finding vulnerable,
Yeah,
powerful
well, I
people.
mean, like Palpatine controls everything, and that's the beautiful thing about uh what this universe shows us is that eventually, you can fight against if you look to individuals as the issue, 9 times out of 10, you know, it's a system that is the problem, right? Like all the clones fighting the droids. We've had that multiple times where, separatist elements fight with republic elements and they realize that they both were pawns in this war. Ventress mentioned it in her episode of The Bad Batch. We see it time and time again. It's clearly one of the themes of Star Wars. It's just that the Emperor being the supreme evil has his hand kind of in everything, and it's very unfortunate how people like Morgan will live their entire lives fighting and struggling. There's death and everything, and all of it is just pieces on a chessboard for old Sheev. So yeah, it's nasty and it's sad. Makes
And
you pour one out.
I feel like Rebels did a really good job of sending that message home, at least for me. I mean, obviously that message is prevalent all throughout Star Wars, but I feel like Rebels did a really good job of, I don't know, portraying that.
With what characters in particular? The clones or
With Ezra, his arc by the end. I think there was a quote I saw compared with Ventress's more recent quote that you were probably referencing in the episode, but Ezra said, like, if the Republic didn't win and the Separatists didn't win, who won? Like, why did this happen? He has a moment towards the end where that's explored more.
Yep. The only way to get off the only way to stop it is to get off the ride, break the wheel, whatever your metaphor is. Like there's a pretty lame movie that actually had a pretty interesting point, and one of it was Escape Room. I don't know if anybody saw that one, but basically the whole thing was like they're trying to escape, they're playing this game, and the one girl is just like, no, I'm not going to play the game, I'm going to find another way out, and the other way is to stop playing, and eventually that's how she wins, escapes, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, here we go. Hit me with one of these. All right, Barris Offee. Speaking of people who are caught by the system, much in the same way. I'm very intrigued to see more of the unraveling of the Jedi and the Republic, the transition. It's just hitting me where I live. I can't wait to see more of it. The Inquisitorius, all those lightsabers he had there in that one shot, seeing the Grand Inquisitor again, that was exciting. I can't wait to go over all this with a fine-tooth comb when it comes out. Very, very excited. Does anyone have any thoughts about the Barris Offee Grand Inquisitor Inquisitorius thing? Raise a hand. Going once, going twice. Great. We're looking forward to it.
Just excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Did anyone know who did the voice for the Grand Inquisitor? I could not tell personally if it was Rupert Friend, Jason Isaacs, or
It didn't sound to me like
British.
Jason Isaacs again. That was my take. Is it sounded more like the guy from Obi-Wan. But maybe, I mean, didn't they get Liam Neeson back for the other ones? So
IMDb. Let's see if it's on there. Let's see. We're looking. IMDb. It says on IMDb that Jason Isaacs is returning for the Grand Inquisitor.
There you go.
And that's excellent news. That's very, very cool. Because we get the return of a proper Powan as well, so we don't have to have
to complain about how
Grand
he doesn't look at all right.
I was about to say, I zoomed in. I was like, he's got a long head. Yeah, he's got a long head. Okay.
He got a pointy teeth. He's got the long head.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got
all right.
got the weird ear things, and Yeah,
Yep,
there's
it's
a lot
exactly
of
what we
visual
always wanted.
differences.
Yep.
Also, was it in the first half or the second half where there was that weird explodey glowy thing I posted in the live chat? Some person has some sort of force explosion thing that
Yes.
it looks light, which makes me sort of think like I was thinking it looks like Ahsoka. It seems like an Ahsoka thing. Even there's something going on with like the hood that doesn't look like normal Jedi hood-y.
Mm.
I'm
I don't know.
trying to
My money was on
zoom in on it
Ahsoka.
here. Let me just go to.
It's really probably intentionally fuzzy, but yeah, it's pretty.
That's
Yeah, it's not
the best I can do for you, dear viewer. Yeah, those are clearly B2, so I would imagine this is the Dathomir.
Right,
Unless it's
that's
a
the thing is
training.
out
I
of
don't know.
context. I said I would assume it's Ahsoka, but in context, this is maybe Morgan Elsbeth discovering she has force powers or something and kind of
Could
going
be,
nuts.
yeah.
Or it could be Ventress, because I still think that all this happening around the same time,
Yeah.
Ventress could be.
You could get Ventress. You could get
this is Ventress's white wizard moment.
You could get Marin as
Ventress the
well.
Grey.
Marin's,
Yeah,
putzing
Marin's
around.
out there.
She'd be a little young,
But
she'd
Marin
be
stayed and seemed to just be kind of tooling around on the planet and hanging out with the corpses for a while until Cal shows up. So like,
maybe like that
I don't know.
sometimes.
It took me so long to get that meme in the chat. Acknowledge it.
You did great. You nailed it.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
I saw people talking about Marin in comments, and I was like, I didn't see Marin.
Yeah, I don't think we saw Marin, but I think people wanted to see.
That was my
Marin,
joke about there still being people alive, because I still have many questions, but either way. Yeah, also, it's question, intriguing. Morgan is human, presumably. Is Ventress human? We don't actually know. No, because we got into this on StarWars.com. They mix up your the planet you're born on with your species, because they call the Night Brothers, they call Maul Dathomirian, and we know he's a Zebrak. They in fact say it in the comment section or in the description that he's a Zebrak, but they list Dathomirian as species. So sure, they're all Dathomirian, but is she a Dathomirian human? Ventress now? Because I don't know, because Morgan, I would have assumed if she is a Night Sister proper, like again, Andy was saying we thought she was sort of a distant relative, but now it seems like she was on Dathomir when the stuff was going on. So what do they say?
According to ye old
fandom
wiki,
yeah,
it says she's a Zabrak.
No, yeah, I've got into this debate too, because they say, Zabraks have sexual dimorphism, and I'm like, no, because we've seen female Zabrak, and they're like, no, just the Zabrak on Dathomir are look different. I'm like, no, we just don't have her. Like, I think the most honest ones say we just don't know her species. They haven't said it. But like, she could just be a very, very pale.
I'm just saying, like, Homegirl's gray.
She was born. She was born snatched, like eyebrows laid, like lipstick on, gorgeous girls.
She did not choose the goth scene. The goth scene chose her.
Like
from birth.
Listen, she's albino. Give her a break.
But did she?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I always assumed she was not human, but knowing that Morgan is from Dathomir and presumably around at the same time, unless the Dathomiri just seem to just collect people and orphans, and that's totally fine. That seems to be a norm in Star Wars.
That's the Jedi's job.
That's right. That just seems like what they do. I don't know. I never considered that she was human. Also because I was introduced to Ventress in the Tartakovsky series, and like, to me, there's no question that she's not human in that series.
But back then she was Ratataki. That was the species back then. Ratataki.
Was she from Ratatouille? What? Really?
She was, yeah.
That's
and
a
so
Pokemon.
They brought that back it back into canon because that was the place where the arena was, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think
she was on Rat Attack. Let's see. I might be wrong. Let's see.
Oh no, no, you're right. On Rat Attack, you're right. You're right.
So they kind of like split the difference and merged it and morphed it, and they've been doing that forever. So I don't know. A girl has no species is basically where it seems to be laying right now. But hey, whatever she is, she's fly. So we'll see what happens.
That's
Any other
that's-
last notes?
apparently that's still
About
canon. Actually,
What's canon?
Dooku meeting Ventress on Rat Attack. It's in the Dooku Jedi Lost. They mention it. In
Yeah,
the
that's still
thing.
canon. Yeah, but it's just she
Yeah.
didn't live there the whole time. She wasn't like born there. Or
That's
whatever.
where her master, what her Jedi master was, and died. It was on Rat Attack.
Right. Yeah. Okay, Andy. Sorry. Go ahead.
a comment though about Ventress, if we're still talking, if we're even talking about Ventress, or if we got off on a tangent, but her lightsabers, she had multiple, right? In the newest episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
On
we'll get to
Bad
that in the
Batch.
newest episode.
We haven't got there yet. We were still just. I was just musing about her potential appearance and hopeful explanation to her
Right.
resurrection in the
Yeah,
Tales of the
so
Empire.
any final thoughts on this, and then we can wrap it up, and maybe if I feel like editing this week, I'll clip this, and it'll just be the thing. So last thoughts about Tales of the Jedi, huh? Anything?
It looks
Tales
so
of the
dope.
Empire.
Does
Looks
look
so dope. We love it. All right, so yeah, so then that's the clip. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Bad Batch. Welcome back, everybody. If you're live, we're all still here. If you're on YouTube later, who are we kidding? I'm not gonna edit. I'm not that guy. I am not that guy, pal. I am not that guy.
You are not that guy.
I am not that guy. Okay, let's move on. Bad Batch. We got 3 episodes to talk about. We're a little behind because we just really wanted Andy. We didn't feel like it was right to do an episode that was clearly about Asajj Ventress without our very own Asajj Ventress super fan over here. So I'll just start with you, Andy. This was the episode. I think it's called. Oh goodness, what is it called? The Harbinger.
Harbinger.
Yeah, Harbinger.
What's
The
that word
Harbinger.
mean?
Like that which comes before. It's like kind of like
announcing the coming doom.
Forebearer. Yeah,
like that.
right.
Lovely.
Yeah, so she played the role of the Harbinger of Dread, like the Empire came the next episode, and all
Definition.
that sort of stuff.
A person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another.
Damn,
forerunner
I gotta be honest, man. When there's a word that I've been using a lot and I think I know what it means, and then the definition hits it, oh, that's a good feeling, because there's always that chance that you've just been like
I might be using
on,
this word wrong my entire
way
life.
off. I've had that before, and we made it. We survived. All right. So, Andy, what do you think about this episode, Harbinger, the Harbinger, Asajj, the Ventress?
Crazy stuff. I mean, it totally got spoiled for me on Instagram. But that's cool. It was still super exciting to see.
What part of it was spoiled for you?
What?
Just that she was in it, or?
Yeah, seeing her again alive. I did, after reading Dark Disciple, I didn't really ever expect that to happen. But we're all here and waiting to see how that's explained. I know Michael B is really disappointed that we don't know everything in the first 30 minutes of seeing her. I think it's going to be explained. I think it's going to be okay.
You think they'll explain it in Bad Batch?
I'm hopeful.
I'm with Michael on. I don't think they're going to explain it.
There
in
are
Bad Batch.
4 episodes left, man.
You don't think she's coming back?
I doubt it. I bet it's going to be
not in the cameo world that Star Wars is these days. No.
Well, she could.
It's always
she
possible.
could come back.
It's always possible.
But
I don't think
more
she's
likely
Juggernaut
we're going to get a
in the
new
next
show.
episode. I think that's the Juggernaut from the trailer. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. Fair enough, I guess. I'm more frustrated about. Weirdly enough, I'm more frustrated about the lightsabers than anything. Something that I guess could be easily enough explained. That
Speak on it. Talk about it. Let's go.
Well, because I assume the 3 of us know that her reforged lightsaber design was scrapped for the Clone Wars with her episode with Quinlan Voss. That design was used instead for Maul during the Siege of Mandalore. And so now they have her on screen again, which they didn't think would happen. So they've got to come up with a different lightsaber design. That's my understanding of it. We know from the book that her lightsaber was yellow, but she didn't have two sabers. She had changed to a single saber. So now we're seeing her with two sabers. I think maybe just so she looks really recognizable with those curved hilts and the double saber design. Are you laughing at me? Chill
I'm
out.
laughing a little. I'm appreciating the direction that you're going, and like the noticing that Disney is doing this to you is like trouncing on your canon for like recognition for those who haven't invested much effort. Like I feel this. I'm with you, Andy. I appreciate this.
They've even made money off of Ventress's reforged lightsaber, and it was a single straight hilt. It was different from what we've ever seen Ventress use, but I think that, like, you could say that's kind of the point, that it's repurposed, it's reforged, and it's different. But now, somewhere along the line in canon, she was like, I miss having two sabers, and like, whatever, sure. I don't know.
You've taken your first steps into a smaller, darker world.
Because I'm the girl that's
a more jaded and.
I'm the girl.
We thought we were
going to
miss that perspective with Taylor not being here, but Andy's bringing the Taylor energy. He's like, this was better in Legends, I tell you what.
No, I actually talked to Taylor about this, and she was like, yeah, welcome to my life. They did this with everything that I invested in. That was her.
Everything I held dear.
Yeah, and I was like, but it's more frustrating because with you, they did it wholesale all at once. With us, they're needling us like little bits at a time. Like for me, the first one was the Ahsoka book, right? Like that was the first big, like you just trounced on the effort that I put into appreciating this, and now you just like threw it away like that. And they promised they wouldn't do it with Ventress. This is my bone to pick with the episodes. They promised they wouldn't overwrite canon, but then they did. But they're like, no, we didn't. You just believe us that we didn't. I'm like, well, she died, and now she's not. She's undead. So that's like a retcon. That now
one
changed.
We'll see. We will see if they, if they resolve that in a way that makes sense. That's cool.
She has many lives, guys. Come on, like.
I would be really mad too if that's all we got. I'm hopeful that that's not all we get.
Yeah.
And I'm so the girl that's like, I'm not really worried about it. Like, I don't really care that the movie is different. But now it's something that I really love and I really paid attention to. And I'm like, why are her lightsabers wrong? Are you dumb?
Well, obviously at some point she, there's a whole other story there, how she just lost the lightsaber and then she picked up two more, she killed an Inquisitor, she took two from them, she unbled them, but a little bit more than
she went
Ahsoka.
back to Dooku's castle and found the backup that he stole from her from
actually
met at the Ratataki arena in the Tartakovsky series, and I just want to keep working in the Tartakovsky series because this is my Michael impression.
You know where else we have seen yellow lightsaber blades before?
In the Acolyte trailer? On Disney Plus?
Sure. Lots of those. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of those.
Where Rey has a yellow saber.
Rey, and where else?
And the protector people with the double bladed things.
Temple guards. Who have in one lightsaber potentially two crystals. So maybe there's a side story here. Maybe she defeats the Inquisitor and takes his yellow lightsaber. I don't know. Like there's all sorts of ways where she could get to traditionally yellow blades. Because I think we know even Ahsoka bled or reverse bled a red blade and it only went white.
And it became what color? Yeah.
So like it would be weird for her to do it and her to be like more good or like more effective than Ahsoka. I don't know.
And we could theorize, and I would love to theorize and hope that there's like a really solid, beautiful explanation for it. But I feel like it's probably just like, oh yeah, we stuck to canon. Oh, the lightsabers are wrong? Who cares?
We'll see. I'm living for the irony of Michael providing you with explanations of what could happen. This is it's amazing. I want to take a minute to talk about my my Disney screwed me story, which is I was the guy who was actually enjoying the sequel trilogy, actually reading those books and, stumping for that and talking about how good they could be, the books were, right? And so in the first movie, Force Awakens, Phasma was a joke. Phasma didn't do anything, but then they came out with this whole book, and it was like a really good book. It's a very, very good book. Delilah Dawson, we know how great she is. She wrote that book, and it was great. It was like this Mad Max Fury Road, talked about her culture, how ruthless she is, and how important masks are and everything. And then I was like, Last Jedi, they're clearly not gonna just like piss her away. And sure enough, there was like half a scene, and so that's my story. So we've all shared our Disney trauma, and now we can move back on. But Ventress was great in this episode, lightsabers notwithstanding, and her existence notwithstanding. I really enjoyed what we got of her. I thought her interactions with the Batch were very cool. The follow-on being that we saw Fennec in the last episode. She's Fennec's contact, and so she found them on Pabu without any effort, it seems. So that's concerning. But then she finds the Batch and she starts talking with Omega and training Omega in the Force. And very, very interesting to see whether or not we think Omega's Force sensitive. It's very up in the air right now. As far as what her M count is, no one really says. What did you guys think of the interactions between Omega and Ventress? I'll start with you, Michael.
I appreciated that they didn't. I mean, we've talked about this before. None of us are necessarily rooting for her to have force powers,
Right.
but I appreciated how they handled it. They sort of did the test. They didn't just like whip out a piece of technology, which, I mean, apparently
A
exists.
Gillette razor.
Yeah, you could just be like, let me just check her. Well, no, that was the communicator. It was the Gillette razor. I don't think
But it plugged
the
it
thing
in,
we see
right?
in the later episodes. The things we see in the later episodes are the actual like, let me just put the blood directly in the thing. Anyway, regardless,
Mhm.
I appreciated that they didn't outright say it, and I appreciated the sort of tests that were very like cynically done. Sort of, she's just like begrudgingly giving these tests, but at the same time, clearly endearing herself to these clones and Omega, seeing that she's special. This is sort of an interesting situation, but like also really giving us an idea of where does Ventress stand on all of this. Where is she? Does she hate the Jedi? Does she not hate the Jedi? Is she eyes wide open about this? Is she, I think we get a good picture of where she's at mentally, and I think allegiance wise there. And we do get to see now the contrast between her and um, Cad Bane, because if she were the same cut of the same cloth, she would have just taken those guys out and abducted Omega, and without remorse and issue, because she certainly could have done it.
He's the best guy around. I don't want to hear it. No Bane
What
slander
murder?
here. Yeah. No, Andy, what did you think about their interactions? I enjoyed them quite a bit. What were your thoughts?
I loved them, and I loved the moment in the water where she tamed the beast, the bigger fish,
Yes.
so to speak. That was so beautiful. Just to see this gentler, calmer side of Ventress portrayed was awesome. And I love, I've said it already, but I love how Omega goes back to meditation and the things that she was just drawn to learning. And I don't think that necessarily points towards a force connection as much as it does just childhood. And
Mm-hmm.
as you said, I'm the resident small children.
Protector.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I knew what you were avoiding there. Yeah. Don't want like a Jared
pers-
from Subway vibes there. Yeah. We made it work.
yeah, but children do that. Like children seek peace, and just like they seek excitement and joy and all the other human emotions. But to see Omega in that situation, it was super cool. It was super awesome to see. Um, and her interaction with the clones was that was crazy.
Yeah, so I definitely want to talk about Ventress and the Batch, but Michael, you dropped a paragraph of text in the chat which I don't intend to even try to read. Why don't you
It's
read
okay.
that for us?
It's from Screen Rant. They are
Ooh.
saying that they had an interview with the writer. Now I already just lost the quote. With Jennifer Corbett, who's the head writer for Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
And she explained that how Ventress survived will be revealed in quote unquote future content. And noted for this story, we were thrilled to include her and explore her for unique connection to and compassion for Omega. They found a way to continue her story. She confirmed. That's about it. So yeah, I think that again
It's
is pretty
like,
stuff.
just
I
stop
thought she's
killing
not
them,
gonna.
guys. You don't
Yeah,
have to kill these
right.
characters.
You just
You're the one who kills them. It's like, oh my gosh,
listen,
it's the
Ed.
Eric Andre meme, right?
Ed,
It's like, I'm so mad that other writers did this.
no one's ever really gone.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that fair enough. It's
It's
frustrating.
fine. Like if they gotta
I'm sure
bring
they'll work
somebody
it out.
back, at least it's Ventress, right?
Yeah, or Maul, or all of them.
But I'm just saying,
Or Cad Bane after Book of Boba Fett, right? Who knows? We'll
Oh,
see.
I
The
mean, the
thing just
lights on his
blinked him.
chest are flickering. The life sign meters are flickering.
I'm telling you what, Duros, they have two hearts now. I decided. Maybe they do. Who knows?
Who knows? He has half a brain
All right.
though, so like.
So the Bad Batch, right? So they're fighting Ventress. That was really, really cool to see her kind of toy with them. Also
Power
reset
scale.
the power levels, right? Yeah, we talk about that. They're very proficient in combat, as we've seen. She holds her own without even powering up her lightsabers for a while. That was very, very cool. I really enjoy that. This episode was really great. I mean, it was again ramping up to where we go as far as stakes, but I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see what happens with Omega as far as her M count and force sensitivity. But now let's move on to the next episode, which takes place entirely on Tantus, and it focuses very heavily on Emery and then the vault itself and Project Necromancer. So we spend the entirety of the time on Tantus. Emery recommends herself to take over for Nala Se, and she's granted admission into the inner sanctum of Project Necromancer, and so she gets to go into the vault and see what they've got cooking in there. And as it turns out, it's just children.
Babies.
Yeah, and it's very haunting. This is a very dark episode. Not just for the obvious reasons of small children subjected to science experiments, but also it's like the facility is clearly not designed for these kids, right? Some people pointed that out, and so it's very foreboding, in that they've probably gone through all the other adult Jedi, right, and or whoever was left, and so now they're just seeking out force sensitive children for scientific purposes, not necessarily even to be trained in any kind of acolyte fashion like the Inquisitors often do. So very, very interesting stuff. I wanted to get everybody's thoughts on this one. I know Andy will probably have a lot to say, so I'm going to go with Michael first. What are your thoughts, Michael, about this episode? Anything jump out at you?
So because I was like, we talked about Cad Bane a little bit, but I was like, this seems familiar. Like, have we done this before? And we did, in fact. Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 3, Children of the Force. I went back and watched it before recording here, and yeah, Cad Bane's done this before, and he's kind of like, yeah, I don't really care, children, whatever. He was actually kind of like, yeah, it's kind of lowbrow crime for you, Dooku, or Sidious. You sure about that? But I will say, that episode
I'll
was
still
darker.
do it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was like, dude, your money's good, like whatever. But I'm just gonna say that episode was way darker, in fact, than this one, and I think it's themes and just like I don't know, I would say cinematographic, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, the way that they filmed it, the tones, the color tones, the lighting, the music, everything feels a little bit darker, so it's a little bit more obvious. Clone Wars, they're just like la, da, 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 the whole time. And Sidious is like, yes, let's begin the surgery on the infants. We're going to do the mental conditioning. And the droids are like, hey, don't you know that patients of this age don't usually survive the mental conditioning surgery? And he goes, yes, do it anyway. I won't have lost anything if you kill them. I'm like, this is a kid show. This is actually worse than what's going on, because at least they're like sort of taking care of him. Nala says they have toys, they got video games. They're older, right, until the new one shows up. But I'm like, I mean, they're not like strapped to a table with like some crazy head crab thing that's about to be put on their face to like lobotomize them. It's a little bit different. They're just taking their blood. Like, I don't know. I've felt watching this one immediately felt like, wow, this is dark. Going back and watching the other, I'm like, that is so much worse. This is not as bad as I was thinking. I don't know. It's all terrible, but
the obvious thing at the end though is like those kids get out, right? Like, you know, like they are freed by the Jedi, if my memory serves, right? Like, don't they get in?
No, two of them do. One of them doesn't get captured, and the other one is definitely dead. Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon, or no, shoot, Mace Windu was like, what about the one on Glen Sam? And Yoda's like, the fate of that one has gone into the dark side of the Force. We haven't, they're gone now. It's too late. And I was like, oh snap, we never see that one because that one's already died. They definitely just killed a baby.
That.
That's crazy.
Well, shoot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But like, and tone and delivery is important when you're watching.
This one is definitely darker in tone and delivery, 100%. But that's what's weird is like what's happening.
It was so weird.
It makes a big difference in how you present it, because the other one, you could watch that and don't think about it. You're like, haha, this is a kid's show about Ahsoka and Anakin saving people. And in reality, you're like, oh my gosh, this is horrific what's going on. Bad Batch, they don't really hide it as much. It's grittier by nature.
Right. And maybe the Clone Wars episode, you see this very obviously evil, almost comedically evil Palpatine saying like the lines you said, like, "Waha, I don't care, just kill them."
Exactly.
Whereas this is everything we've already said. It's very systemic and
the banality of evil, right? It's
you
Nazi
have
shit.
you have Emery at the middle of it, right? And she's determining and deciding for herself, like, this does not feel right. I was kind of okay when Omega was just like helping us out. Didn't realize that they were just like test subjects. But she's still also kind of going along with it, so.
Yeah.
But she gave him a doll. It makes it better.
Andi, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this whole episode, but particularly the Emery dynamic and the children?
This episode was crazy to watch because this one, it is wholly on Tantus, like you said. We're not seeing the cuts to the little fuzzy baby on his home planet yet. Is that the next episode?
No, I think you see it. It's in the same episode, but I meant the Bad Batch is not involved in this one in any appreciable fashion.
Okay. Yeah, this episode was really dark and really crazy to watch with my kids, and I was just kind of like looking at my husband the whole time, frowning, like, they're not going to do that, are they? And then they do it. I'm like, oh my god. But then we are introduced to little Eva. Oh, that's my daughter's name, and it just made me so much more sad.
I was wondering about that. I was watching it, and then of course the little Iktachi, and they were like, "I'm Eva," and I was like, "Oh, should I text Andi?" Like, this is rough. Yeah, it was very wild. That's it was an interesting episode, and it was interesting watching Emery sort of, her wrestling with what's clearly going on here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I just kept kind of waiting for the ball to drop to see what's going to happen. And I still don't totally, I guess, have a prediction for what her next move is. I appreciated the conversation with Nalase is it the end of this episode? Where she says, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Emery? Like, you can't pawn this moral question off on me. I'm not there anymore. This is your choice. And yeah, it's wild stuff.
It's the Galen Erso. I mean, it really is very interesting, because if you take too moral a stance and do too much in meaningless ways, you could lose access to these kids entirely and get a true believer in there, and then they're screwed. If you choose your moment right, maybe you can find some way out, or you can take the Nalase approach and just kind of make their lives, their existence as smooth as you can. It's very much, again, I keep talking about the Oscar Schindler thing. Like, if Oscar Schindler was a better guy for most of the Second World War, he wouldn't have been in the spot where he could have actually helped people that he did. And it's just it's going to be very, very interesting to watch Emery, because, like you pointed out, to that kid, I mean, she did lie about Jax. She didn't actually help, and so she gave her a doll, like Michael pointed out, but
I don't know.
she's
I
still
don't know
got
if
to
that
earn
was
that
a lie
trust.
either. She didn't know that that was going to happen. She found out, like, she asked what's going on. It's like, oh, this is protocol. This is what happens. And so I think she more misspoke or spoke out of
Yeah.
turn to the other child and said, oh, she'll be fine, and didn't actually know. She just assumed that the child would be fine and didn't
Sure.
know that it was. I don't think that's
Well, it's
necessarily a
what you talk
conscious
about.
lie.
Well, it's what you talk about, Michael, a lot when we do the book club, where it's like, you can see from Emery's perspective, yeah, there's a way around it. I wasn't trying to lie to you, but also from Eva's perspective, you did, right? And so,
Yeah.
they're kind of rock and hard
Yeah.
place type situation. It's just
I think a
supremely
lot of the
sad.
the morality question is going to come down to not just what Emery does, but also, not to excuse it, but in a world where like mental conditioning and cloning exists, the
Mm,
question is what sort of control over her faculties does Emery have? Because she seems to be this sort of emotionless scientist, almost like a Lobot kind of thing. Like, she almost seems completely devoid of emotion and care up until now. We sort of see her developing a bond with Omega, but really not. She's really just kind of fighting that. So it'll be interesting to see. We don't really know what her status is. Like, where did she come from? Is she technically older than Omega? Is she technically younger than Omega? Because Omega, they say, is the only, besides Boba Fett, the only unmodified clone. So she is about as old as any clone could be.
right.
If she was cloned the same day as Boba Fett, neither one of them can be more than 13, 14 years old. 3 years of
Something
Clone
like
Wars
that,
plus
yeah.
10 years of pre Sifo-Dyas. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
14 max. So Emery could be the same age or younger, but again, like, the question is, what did they change about her? Was she inhibitor chipped? Was she
Yeah.
not? Has she gone through some sort of conditioning that these other assassin clones? I don't know. Like, I think all of this plays into how interesting it's going to be if and when she finally helps Omega escape in the next few episodes.
Yeah.
Very, very excited to see. Is there anything else we want to talk about as relates to this episode before we move on to Pabu?
I think this episode specifically, because either Nalase or is it or Emery, one of them, they specifically clarify why Omega is important. And it's not,
Mm-hmm.
again, they don't really say what her M count is. They don't specify, but they specifically say that it is because her blood acts as a binder, because they
Right.
otherwise have no ability to clone metachlorians. They can't clone metachlorians. They don't. It doesn't work. So, but if they use her as a sort of a binding agent, her DNA, it allows them to clone the metachlorian count. Um, I think there's only a question there of, so how did they figure that out? Did they because they said there was some success already, right? Like, there was limited success. They managed to clone somebody or something with a reduced metachlorian count. That doesn't mean no metachlorian count, and reduced from Sidious could still be pretty interesting.
Right.
Reduced from Sidious could be Ray's dad at this point. I don't know. Um, right? Because,
That's
like, as
true.
far as we know, Ray's dad didn't have any powers, but he was still some sort of a strand cast from Sidious himself. So I don't know. These are a lot of questions. But then
But he was
the
he was on Exegol though, so I don't think the
eventually, as an
timeline
adult,
quite, as a young adult. In the book Shadow of the Sith, there's like
yeah.
callbacks
But
to
who's
him
to
being a
say
very,
he's
very young
not
man.
Exegol now? I mean, who's to say that Exegol
Yeah,
isn't already in play?
that's true. That's
As far
true.
as we know, it's been in play for a long
It's
time.
just a quick hyperspace skip and a jump away. So it's not a big deal.
I had one more
Yeah,
thing
go ahead.
for this
No,
episode.
please.
So when Cad Bane breaks into the poor single mother's house and stuns her immediately, I'm like, okay, he's gonna like stun the baby. Doesn't stun the baby, and I'm
Yeah, they
like,
used to walk away with the baby screaming, like no one's gonna.
I'm like, does Disney like think it's too scary to stun the baby? But then they stun the little kid. Then they stun Jax. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why would he not just stun the baby? Why do I have to cry watching him cry to get his little stuffy from the couch? Like, just stun the baby. God,
I
fucking
also
psycho.
I love that Seth Green gets to play this murder robot. It's just
It's
such a
Seth
funny
Green.
character. Yeah, Seth Green is Toto, and so like
I
I
didn't know
love
that.
that they're just bringing him back for these little, like, you can tell it more in the other episodes, but Seth Green always played Toto. I'm fairly sure he was this one as well, but yeah,
Undead.
so that was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. Let's move along now to the last one that we saw, which I cannot remember. Point of No Return. And the last one was Identity Crisis for those of you keeping up at home. But Point of No Return is the one where, it all kind of hits the fan at long last. We get the Empire attacking Pabu. Our safe oasis is safe no longer, and it all kind of goes to heck in a handbag, and we get to see a lot of things pay off and come to fruition. Now, at the end of this episode, our heroes are left without the Marauder, so rest in peace to the Marauder. Can't wait for the HasLab Marauder episode. That's gotta happen. That's for you, Eric. I know you watch the show. Uh, very, very interested to see when they come out with that. But yeah,
What
so
is with them
that was
hating on all the
unfortunate.
cool ships? All the cool ships get blown
I
up,
know they
man.
just be blowing them up. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
bummer.
No, this episode was tragic in all the ways you expected. It wasn't unpredictable or anything like that, but it was still it was good. It You got to see the young clones. You got to see Shep's daughter, who Liana. Their her friendship with Omega. You got to see her again. The dread throughout this episode was palpable, and then when you see that CX trooper, I think it's CX2, when he's saying, I haven't done anything yet, like he was very very concerning, very threatening, I should say. Yeah, it was a horrifying scene, and I loved it. I mean,
What?
I like it when we want plot, right? We want it to move
Yeah.
along, and this episode definitely moved things along. So, what were some of the moments that stuck out to you guys? And is there any rabbit holes you want to dive down? Andy, you were going to say something.
Well, his voice to me, I know it's like augmented through the helmet. We're not supposed to know who it is. It just sounds so much like Crosshair to me. And I know they're all voiced by the same guy, but it sounds like Crosshair. And I asked that to Michael. He was like, it could be. I was like, what if it's a clone? Or what if our Crosshair is the clone? Like, just,
I've suggested clone of a clone theory before. Yeah, beat me to it.
yeah,
That
yeah.
would make also a lot of sense for why they're going sort of toe to toe in fighting. It's him and Crosshair every time,
Dude, hold on. Hold on.
and all the
Where's
sniping.
Taylor? Where's Taylor when you need her? Okay, listen. Taylor, when you get around, I know you know what I'm talking about. In the original Thrawn trilogy, Thrawn uses this alternative cloning technology called Sparty cylinders, I think they're called, and he clones people very, very quickly, very, very quickly. I think it's like under a year, something like that. But the problem is they always, because the Force, it messes with it when you try to play God and grow them that fast. He would have to use the Asalamiri to keep the Force out. Maybe they used some kind of Project Necromancer thing to make a canon version to accelerate the cloning process that much. And maybe you're exactly right, Andy or Michael or the conglomeration of all three of us, that this could very well be a quickly created clone of Crosshair, or maybe a strand cast of Crosshair and Tech. Yikes. I
Okay,
hate
yeah.
that.
Here's the thing. Okay, so when he's at one point, what's his face is flipping back and forth between two different CX clone sort of stat sheets, right? If you look at them, there's very different designs. They don't seem to correlate. Their sort of facial
Right.
helmet thing doesn't correlate to the helmets we see. One of them very clearly has some sort of head visor thing going on. Now, I do like, Ed, you mentioned Cody, and Cody also has a head visor thing on his helmet. Not necessarily unique, but I like the idea of, so maybe a step further, we were saying maybe Tech was sort of captured and reconditioned and turned into one of these things. What if they're both, what if there's two of them? Because we saw one in a test tube too, right? We saw another one that was either not ready or something. What if they're both clones? One's a clone of Crosshair and one's a clone of the dead Tech. They did like a quick clone of him and sort of resurrect him as well.
Because the thing that's craziest about my, Sparty cylinders and everything, those are on Mount Tantus in the Thrawn series. So just whew.
I'm scared.
Maybe that's how they brought Ventress back too.
Oh my god.
Oh, look at us, man.
I
That's
prefer,
spooky.
just for the emotional impact though. I prefer the idea of a reconditioned alive Tech.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool and impactful to see that with Echo happen before, and I realize it's kind of copy paste if they do it again, but I'm still here for it.
No, I'm with you. It would be very.
We also saw
tragic
when the CX clone is like comes into orbit over Pabu and is coming in. He basically like hacks the Marauder and disables the alarm. That was another thing. I was like, could be Tech, but it could also be Crosshair for the same reason. It could be any
Did
one
he,
of them
though?
that has. He totally disables it like remotely.
I read that as once he went cloaked, it didn't pick up.
No ship that small has a cloaking device.
That one does. Hey, listen, man. Rank and file Imperial ding dongs don't need to know about CIA.
He should have known.
Tech,
Meanwhile, Tarkin's over here like very concerned.
Hey, that was fun seeing Tarkin's little power games there. He's like, listen, I don't know what you're working on, but I'm going to threaten you as if I do know, and it's very important, so make sure you do it, whatever it is, or I'll whoop your ass. It
was the same. That's the same power move he tried with Thrawn, though, over the TIE Defenders. It's the same thing, because he's in charge of funding and the protection of the
but
Death
at least
Star,
he knew what the TIE Defender was, and like the stuff with the Death Star he knew about from pretty early on. This one he's like, you better make sure that black budget doesn't go to waste. It's like, golly, guy's such a power hungry little weasel. Goodness gracious. Okay, anything else on that one? There's more
that
for
Omega
sure.
Snuck another tracking device with her because she gave up the one she had a little too easily, so she probably has another tracking device on her. That's my theory.
Could be, or it could be that it just
because
didn't work out.
Tracking, woo, so sad.
It was
when he like finally makes a shot and it just nothing but air. Ouch.
What if that's Emery though? When she sees Omega come back and she's just like, and Omega starts talking to her, or however it works, or maybe Emery reaches out.
Or they go back for Ventress and they get Ventress's help to go find Tantus. I don't know, because Ventress seems to be pretty good at finding things. I don't know. Or they go they go strangle what's her name, the Trandoshan that they clearly that they tortured until she gave up Pabu, or she gave up what's her name that gave up Pabu. It was a whole thing. They real skated over that. Like, we don't like her anymore, but still, that was rough.
I mean, it was, that's. They said they got it out of her. They implied it wasn't easy. I don't know. But Sid, I wouldn't be surprised if Sid sold him down the river. But yeah, seeing Fee was interesting just for a minute, and then I know.
Did she even
Michael
speak?
Doesn't like her.
Yes.
Yeah, she did.
She did. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was bracing because I know you don't like her, so I was like waiting for the worst 30 seconds of my life. The way Andy feels about Cad Bane.
Hate, but
that's fair. That's an important distinction.
And she was funny. I mean, I even thought, I was like, man, they're giving Fee personality. And you're like, did she even say anything?
I blocked it out. I just
I don't remember.
I don't
I don't
remember her
remember it too
speaking at
well
all.
either. It was like, when I tell you to get in the green goo, you get in the green goo. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, yell at your robot. Go off, sis.
It's
Just
funny.
like whatever.
I learned who voiced Sid, and I can't think of her name, but I didn't. What's her name? It's the old lady from the Barbie movie.
Oh, I don't remember her name either.
Ray
We're professionals.
Perlman.
Oh, is she? I'm not gonna just assume. Let me look. Ray
RHEA.
Perlman. RHEA.
Perlman.
Is she? And she's got to be some relation, right? To Ron? No. There's no relation, it appears, to Ron Perlman. Fascinating. Well, never mind. Withdrawn, Your Honor. There are two
Anyways.
Perlmans in this world. Anyway,
What?
good for her,
And we were talking about ships. I know Michael really loves the Republic gunship, so like
Same.
for respect, I love it too, like on behalf of him. And to see it like blowing up the ships on Pabu, I was like, babe, doesn't look too good out here. Our Republic
Dude, I keep
gunships
talking about it, man. I keep talking about it. It messes with me every single time. Like, as a kid, I will stay harping on this. As a kid, the Republic becomes the Empire, right? Okay, but there was such a demarcation between the Clone Wars and then the original trilogy that, like, by the end of episode 3, you see Order 66 happen. You see a couple, like the shock troopers, whatever. But, like, for the most part, it's just a brief montage and then you're done. Like, this show is really forcing you to watch all the iconography, all the things you loved. Like, we were joking earlier about Michael and your Republic Commandos, right? Like, it's the same deal. It's like you're seeing these people guarding babies and, like, the clones in on Ryloth, like fighting Cham Syndulla and all these other things. Your Lat gunships. I mean, I'm with you for the love of the Lat, but yeah, it's just it's horrifying.
And then Hunter manned that thing this episode. That was hot. He did a great job. And then it got shot. And then it got shot down.
Crosshair. Did we finally see the return of his abilities? He just sort of like sensed. No, he just saw the birds moving.
No, he was still useless.
Wrong.
Yeah, there's something going on with the animals.
Right. Like, what happened to your EMP abilities? You should be able to tell the ship just dropped into orbit or something. I don't know.
There's something rotten in Denmark.
That's what literally every dad would say, like, seeing the birds. Like, there was no power there. But, I mean, he did look great taking over the ship.
There's a 50% chance it's already raining.
Yes. But then the pilot of the ship gets shot. Crosshair could have made that shot. I mean, the Crosshair, we know.
I was in a very impressive shot. Yeah.
It was good. It was quick, too.
You're not wrong. Oh, there's actually, if those shots of those sort of readouts on those two CX clone, not clone things, because originally they even said they weren't clones in the previous season.
They were just like true believers, like reprogrammed. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that
so maybe my Sparty cylinder thing is bullshit.
I don't know.
I'm vibing for now.
No, but they have this sort of a shot of something that looks like the front end of Mando's disintegrator gun. It's like the shocky end thing, and it looks like a spear. That'd be kind of cool to see if we see that. I don't know. It could have just been a picture that had no relevance, but I thought it was nice that they didn't put Arabesh all over those. They just put like random lines that you can't translate because they know everyone would be like, screenshot, read every single word.
Right.
I want them to put something like, if in Arabesh, if you could read this, you're too close. Or
Shocky 3000.
If you could read this, you need to go on a walk outside.
All right. Obviously we're okay.
And then Hunter gets off the ship, and I'm going to complain about the dog again. Why did he pet that freaking dog? The planet is under fire.
He just
but everybody
failed.
else, he just survived, okay? And the dog comes over and gives him a big kiss. The giant man-sized dog, larger than man-sized man-eating dog.
Dude, when they looked like they were shooting at Batcher, I was like, dude, Don't mess
They
with
better
me.
not kill that
Don't.
dog.
I swear.
Batcher prediction: Batcher dies.
Sure, but Hunter didn't need to pet that dog. He needed to go find Omega. Come on.
I don't know. When it
Then
comes to like
together-
leave the dog versus do something else, I appreciate it. Crosshairs, the dog can take care of itself. You're fine. But in the
Yes.
moment when you just survived a plane crash in an ocean, I don't know why he's gagging, because we just established that they can breathe underwater in their helmets, but he's gagging. Gets out of the water, coughing up water. Yeah, he didn't press the button, I guess. But dude, he just survived a plane crash. I think he deserves a hug of a. I don't know if the dog's furry or not, but a critter.
Again, I'm surprised at my allies this episode, but I'll take it. You know,
I'm mad
Michael's
today.
on team hug the dog, and I'm surprised Andy is on do not pet the dog. But hey, you know, we are what we grow beyond. So here we are. Oh, goodness gracious. Thank you, Michael, for pointing out that wasn't as smooth of a segue as I wanted it to be with your face. I tried to stick the landing. You know, we're out here doing things. I don't have much else to say about this episode. I think it's set us up for a wild finish to this season. We know what we hope will happen. We dread what could happen. I think there's a really good shot here that the clones, you know, Star Wars Explained said this, and I really, really liked it. Like, for them saving what they love, they will end up destroying what they hate, or at least setting it back a while. Like, just following the light of morality, of letting the clones, you know, freeing the clones and saving Omega, they're going to set Project Necromancer back to the point to where Pelian's still working on it later, you know, or you know, Gideon is, or Hux, whatever, you get it. You know, in The Mandalorian, we see them talking about Project Necromancer and Exegol. So very interested to see how this all plays out. I'm intrigued. Does anyone have any other final thoughts about this episode before we put this one in the bag? Andy's shaking her head. Michael, you got to smile. Dish.
I was just thinking about the next episode, not this one, but the next one's called Juggernaut, I think, which would follow that we haven't yet seen the Juggernaut we saw in the trailer. So sure. I guess it's not a Juggernaut though. It's one of those walker things. I'm just wondering if we're going to end up doing one of those things where that Star Wars likes to do, where they just like deposit characters in a place where we know we find them 20 years down the road and just sort of assume they never leave. I'm wondering if they're going to do that with Wolf and Rex and Gregor, because we find them in Rebels on, you know, some desolate planet, just riding around in their thing, like fishing. And that's what they do.
Hanging out.
And I was just laughing to myself at
boys.
how fast. I mean, it's 14 years. It is like 90% of their lives, to be fair, but like how fast they go from here, which is like 18, 19 BBY, to like 5 BBY. So like 13 years or so, whatever. Whenever Rebels occurs and they find them, like, man, they do not age well. They definitely have that clone accelerated aging. But then I mean, Rex seems to look fine by episode 6. So,
well, that's only a few years anyway, right? Like, that's only another handful of years. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they age them and how it all.
They're just gonna pull
all plays out.
Y'all got to stop hanging out on planets with 2 suns. Is what I'm
Honestly,
saying.
SPF, my guys. SPF.
Right? Like, you city folk can't handle that sun.
I'm just saying. No, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be fun to see who they assemble in this team, right? If it's the, obviously Rex's group is going to be part of it. Who else they are able to come up with. Maybe Ventress comes back. Maybe Ventress brings a Quinlan.
That'd be crazy. I think
be a little
and
unexpected.
And they kiss on screen?
More. Now kiss.
That would be the most awesomest thing to happen in the history of ever.
I'm still just a girl with my dolls, but now they're Star Wars dolls.
And they're both boys. This show sucks. We're insane. All right. anything else we want to leave the people with here? Any final thoughts from either of you two? Head shakes, yes or no? Head shakes, yes or no? Or do nothing. I love that too.
I'm giving my code.
All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us. We can't wait to see you next time. And it's always a hoot and a half on program. Hey, thanks for chilling, folks. It's a great time. We love having you here. On Program is not the same without you, dear viewer. It's never the same without you. Hey, since you're here, and since I just made you feel so damn special, why don't you leave us a comment telling us how special I just made you feel? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the YouTube things, please. You know what they are right now. You watch YouTube. We appreciate it. It really helps us out. We're trying to get past our 1-to-1 panelist-viewer ratio, so thank you.